If you are looking to land a literary agent and get traditionally published, I'm going to teach you the 4-part structure you need to include in your query letter, as well as the secret sauce I used that helped me to get 26 full requests and 8 offers from literary agents. And if we haven't met already, hi, I'm Lauren. I'm a young adult author and mom based in Brooklyn, and it is my goal to make traditional publishing accessible to all. And it's sort of my thing to share free resources, so make sure to check out the description below because I have a link to my free query letter toolkit, which includes the text of the query letter I'm going to be going over today, and there's a link to my free masterclass on my top 3 tips to how to land an agent. So before I get into the 4-part structure, I just want to talk for a moment about why this structure is so important. And I go into this a lot more in my masterclass, but agents are flooded with queries. So even the smallest deviation from the norm can be a red flag and might mean that your query letter that you've worked so hard on and your book that you've worked even harder on doesn't get reviewed by that agent. This industry is tough, and agents are really judging a book by its cover or query letter. Sorry, okay, terrible joke. But the query letter is super important, so you really want to make sure you include all of the elements I'm about to discuss. So the query letter that I'm going to be showing you today is actually the one that I wrote for my second book, which got me a 6-figure 2-book deal. This is not the query letter for my first book, which got me 8 offers from literary agents, but I do have a sentence-by-sentence breakdown of that in my online course, Query Bootcamp, so check that out if you want more query letter writing advice. All right, so let's start with the subject line. You want this to be query for, and then the agent's name, then a colon, then your book title in all caps, and then in parentheses, you want to include your genre. So for my book, that was query for Molly Jones, colon, we ship it in all caps, and then in parentheses, young adult contemporary. So you want to start out your query letter by personalizing it to the agent and showing that you're not just mass BCCing a bunch of agents. You want to show that you did your homework and you really think this agent is a good fit for your book. Now, some people include this personalization at the bottom of their query letter. That is fine as well, but definitely make sure to include it. So you can mention an author or a book that the agent has repped, or maybe a part of their wish list and why your book would be a good fit for them. So one example that I did was that Becky Albertalli's books were my guiding light through my writing process as I sought to imbue my story with the same blend of humor and heart. Then you just want a quick transition line such as, I would love to offer we ship it for your consideration. And now we are at the most important part of the query letter, the hook. And that is the part that actually pitches your book. And it's called the hook because your goal is to hook the agent and get them needing to read more. So you don't have to include every single element of your book or all of the characters. That would actually be really bad to do. So your hook is generally 150 to 200 words max, and it's really a test of your skills as a storyteller. Like, do you know how to synthesize what you have written into a really compelling summary, such as the blurb that you would find on the back cover of the book? And you want to give the agent enough info so that they know what's going on and they're not confused, but you really want to leave the agent intrigued and wanting more, because your goal with the query letter is to get the agent to ask for your full manuscript. And so if they love your hook, that's what they're going to do. And the most important part of your hook is the first line. That is the hook of your hook. And often this is where you're going to either include or maybe lead up to the inciting incident of your book. And the inciting incident is the reason that you have a story at all. So think about Katniss's sister Prim getting chosen as tribute in the Hunger Games, right? There wouldn't be a story without that. So the way that I started out my query letter is the last place type A overachiever Olivia Schwartz wants to be is on a cruise. And so already we have a taste of what the inciting incident is going to be, and we have some really defining details about our main character. And those are good. You want to drop in a few. You don't have to tell the agent everything, But at the same time, you don't want to not include any info about your main character. And you'll see here, this isn't some huge galaxy-ending inciting incident. It's not nearly as huge as the Hunger Games, but it is huge for the main character, Olivia. So your inciting incident really needs to be earth-shattering for your main character, even if it's not earth-shattering for anyone else. And then you want to make sure you include some background info about the current state of your main character's life before this inciting incident, so the agent has a sense of why this is so important. So for me, I wrote, especially with her parents and all the unspoken things between them since her older brother's death. Okay, so now we know why Olivia getting forced into close quarters with her parents for a week on a cruise ship is such a big deal. And then I establish things a little bit further. I tell you what the story is actually about by saying, but when her parents win a free Caribbean cruise, it's all aboard for the Schwartz family. So that's it. That's my first paragraph. We have the inciting incident, some revealing information about the main character, and we know why this is such a big deal for her. Then I get into the main character's plan, how they're trying to avoid this new world that is being thrust upon them. So I say, Olivia plans to spend the week holed up in her cabin with her research and her highlighters in her quest to get chosen for a prestigious medical internship. So here is some more defining information about our main character. She's not just some random teenager, but she's a type A overachiever. And not just any type A overachiever, but one who is trying to get a medical internship at 16, the type of person who goes on vacation and still brings out her books and studies. Not that I would know anything about that. And then I say, but then she meets Sebastian. He's everything Olivia is not. Charismatic, oddly interested in the cruise's teen programs, and not afraid to take risks. So boom, that is the first main conflict of the story. You really want to ensure you get conflict into your query letter. You don't have to say everything that happens, you don't have to give anything away, but generally there should be some huge game-changing conflict that happens around a quarter or a third of the way through the story. And in my book, that's Olivia meeting this charming love interest, so I throw that directly into the query letter. Then I say, for the first time since her brother died 7 years ago, Olivia feels like she can have fun. And so I promised to talk about the secret sauce, and that is here. We are hitting on the emotional heartbeat of the story. This isn't just a book report. We're not just saying things that happen. We're talking about why these events are so impactful for our main character. And here we're going right back to the opening. We're talking about her older brother's death. We don't yet know much, and we're not telling the agent everything, like even the name of the older brother or how old he was or how he died. But there's enough here that if you have a heart, you're like, oh, I really want to know more. And then I finish with, but there's a lot bubbling up under the surface on this cruise. And when past secrets begin to come to light, Olivia must face all the truths that she's ignored for so long. About herself, Sebastian, her brother, the past she thought she understood, and the future she thought she wanted. All right, so just ending with a lot of intrigue, a lot of things we've thrown at the agent. We haven't said what's coming. We're not confusing the agent. It's not just like a bunch of rhetorical questions, but we're showing that there's a lot more to this book, and you have to request the full manuscript in order to see how things play out. Because remember, that is your main goal of the query letter, to get the agent to want to read more and request your full manuscript. So now we're at the next part, which is including your comps. And so once again, these can go before the hook or after. I include them after. But you want to include 2 comps. And comps are books or other forms of media that you are comparing your book to. It's not like your book is the exact same, but maybe they have similar thematic elements or similar settings or similar tones. You want to show your agent where in a bookstore your book would be placed, like which books would it be next to. So the comps that I used for mine were that We Ship It has the feels of Taylor Swift's Folklore with the swoony summer vibes of The Summer I Turned Pretty. Then after that, you want to finish with a really short 1 or 2 line bio. You can put anything you've published before, but don't worry if you haven't published anything. I certainly hadn't. So you just want maybe 1 or 2 interesting details about your life, especially if they relate to why you are the person telling the story. So mine was that I graduated from Brown University with a degree in love and learned how to add all of the feels to my romantic subplots because I had founded a matchmaking startup. Then finish with a brief and friendly sign-off such as, "Thank you for your time, sincerely, Lauren K." So these query letters can be like really easy and fun to read, but actually writing them takes a whole lot of work. So make sure to get tons and tons of feedback on your query letter, send it to friends and family, find people on social media to read it, have people read it who have read your book and people who haven't, and just continuously keep improving it because this is your big shot with literary agents. And so now on to my top resources that I used when writing my query letter. So first and foremost, Query Shark has some really, really amazing breakdowns of early drafts of people's query letters and how they can revise and improve them. And I learned so much from that. And then you can go look at query letter success stories, so the query letters that landed agents. And one of my favorite places to find those is in Query Tracker, where you can also find agents to query. They have a section for success stories, and you can read all about the writer's story, which I find really helpful too. Like they'll share maybe that this is their 4th time querying, and they got rejected every time, but then this query letter got them their dream agent. So it really just helps to give you some hope and to see what a successful query letter looks and sounds like. So best of luck in your querying journey. And if you want even more resources, once again, make sure to grab a copy of my query letter toolkit. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope this helped, and best of luck on your querying journey.